Brenda Brueggemann, and I am a professor at the University of Connecticut, and I also teach up here at the Breadloaf School of English in the lovely Green Mountains of Vermont, where we're at right now. And I am essentially deaf, very hard of hearing from birth, and I've been using captions probably between 15 to 20 years now in my classrooms and a lot of public events and meetings. So I'm what they call a caption consumer.
And my name is Norma Miller. I am a professional captioner. I am the person that makes the captions for Brenda while she's teaching here. I have an international business. I caption lots of events all around the world of all types.
Yeah. So the first thing we want to do is we want to talk with you about a number of reasons why captionings are cool and why you should always be captioning all of your videos that you make. The first thing I would say is the base foundational question. If you really believe that the words that are on your video are important, why wouldn't you want to make them accessible to all the possible people in the world? So not just deaf and hard of hearing people, but internationally around the globe, or people who might not be able to listen, have to turn the sound off. So why wouldn't you want all the possibilities to happen with a video that you've taken the time to make and put out into the world? So that's the base question. And along with that, the second reason for captioning is because it's very empowering and it's very all-inclusive. It's empowering, particularly for deaf and hard of hearing people, because for so long, we're just excluded from all the explosion of videos that are out there. So this kind of naturally makes everybody at ease for being a part of the scene. But more than just deaf and hard of hearing people, it's also the case if you're at an event and there's a lot of jargon, technical jargon in somebody's field or whatever, actually seeing the captions on the text helps you kind of understand the jargon better.
And I will add there that jargon may sound like a big scary word, and it may sound like we're talking only about big words, but every single event that you have has its own jargon. Yeah. So even if the video that you're doing you think is just normal words for you, it may not be normal words for your viewer.
Yeah. So if you're doing a video, for example, about your Breadloaf Teachers Network project in Lawrence, Massachusetts, you'll end up saying things that seem very natural to you, but to the audience outside of Lawrence, Massachusetts, they might not really know what you're talking about. So having them see the names and titles of places on the video helps them feel like they're in the place even as well.
Absolutely. So and to add to that, names, places, native local sayings, that sort of thing, that all falls under the category of jargon.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah. And so in that way, it also is a sort of reinforcement of learning. So if you hear something but you didn't quite, what did I just hear? So seeing the captions helps reinforce what you've just heard. And
it's amazing how global every audience is now, particularly with social media. And when you're using the medium of video, it could potentially get to all places in the world. Yeah. And so many people have no idea maybe what you're talking about.
Yeah. But it can't get to all these places in the world unless it's actually captioned, because then nobody access to video. TED Talks now, the big scale ones, always come in like almost 100 different languages. You can put the TED Talk captioning on. In fact, I just noticed when I opened the new YouTube video editor on the how-to part that you can select to edit your captions in a YouTube video in 189 languages. So once you have created captions in the English language, someone can quickly revert them to any one of those 189 languages.
Whoop. It's fantastic. Technology is amazing. Technology has come so far. It still has a long way to go, but in terms of the auto captions. But if you just take a few moments, even if you put it through the auto caption feature, which I think you do a lot, Brenda, you can then make the corrections so much more easily.
Which I will demonstrate. The other thing is that you're probably very aware now is there's all sorts of viewing and listening competition spaces that you might be in where a video is being played, say in a nice restaurant, in gyms all over the country, in airports, in public transit places where a lot of times now they don't have the sound on, they're just showing what's on the TV with captioning because there's a lot of other noise translation. And you've probably already been somewhere where you wanted to watch a video, but oops, you forgot your headphones. So then you can just put on the captions. So it comes in really handy that way. To kind of add to that, one of the things that I love to get people hooked on when they start captioning is all the ways that captioning becomes both creative and then also a sort of critical interface with the video you've made. It will make you, when you caption your own video, it's going to make you think 3 times as hard about what that video said and why it said that thing.
And it helps you to distill your thoughts.
Yeah.
And I think it helps you maybe in a way to focus on your own thoughts, your own idea, your own creative idea. And another important aspect is all the various ways of learning. So many people are visual learners, they say. That's a thing that people say now. I'm a visual learner. Or a listening learner. Yeah. But it helps to reinforce the idea, to see it written as well.
Yeah, multiple channel. I think the last reason also is that once you've created a transcript, then it's like searchable data. So a YouTube video, you can't actually search what was said on it, but if you create a transcript and you load the transcript up there and you were talking about moose, Vermont moose in your video, someone can type in Vermont moose on the search engine and it'll take them to your video.
Very quickly, yeah.
Right, yeah.
And they can hone in on the idea much more quickly than trying to search through a video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are some of the reasons for captioning just video. I think next we would also then like to talk a little bit about captioning at large events and why you can become a kind of captioning advocate and ask for captions to happen at large school events, public events you might be at, large meetings, especially if they're educationally involved, if people are expecting to learn some things or to be participatory citizens, that was a big word, to participate as citizens, having captioning there. Again, like all the other things we say, help makes the event inclusive. But it also does some things that are kind of magical in the moment, like the looping back.
Yes, I have a really fun story about that. Yeah. I was captioning an event in Brighton, England, which is a seaside village in England, and it was a big technical event, and there were speakers that had been invited from all around the world. I was there to actually caption specifically for a deaf-blind person, and no one really considered how many other people in the audience would enjoy or need to use the captions, including myself. I was surprised when at the end of the 2-day event, these slightly older British people came down from the balcony of the theater where they had been, and they came up to me and they said, "We were so thankful that the captions were there." They said this to me in their British accent. They said, because when the Americans spoke, we couldn't understand a word they were saying. So we sometimes think that it's people of other languages. We're both speaking English, but we're speaking English differently. Yeah. So they really appreciated that. And for me, that was a light bulb moment as well. I was thrilled when I heard it. It was like one of those special little juicy moments that happen. Yeah. And you go, oh, I never thought of it that way.
And I have been at international events. I mentioned a conference that Adobe put on, Adobe that does Photoshop and a whole bunch of other things. We think of Adobe as the PDF company, but I was recently last summer at an event there, and there were quite a large contingent of people at this Adobe event from China, and the Chinese people all formed a little U behind me and my captioning screen because of course it was great access for them. They were struck by the magic.
And a similar experience for me years ago, I used to caption for a hard of hearing medical student. Mm-hmm. And the other hearing medical students, they didn't need captioning whatsoever, they thought. But once they started to notice the captioning happening, they too, all the hearing students clustered around, and I was, everybody became the students, my students' best friend.
It's a high stakes environment, and they want to make sure in medical school that they're getting that right, and again, all the terminology.
And it is that reinforcement of terminology, yeah.
Which kind of leads to the last story, which is located right here on the Federal School of English. So all summer long up here in the 2 classes that I teach, Norma's captioning for me, and she immediately after every class loads up the transcript from that class. So the students can, right after class, they can see everything they said and use it. And some people do, some people don't. Some people find it a little painful when they find out, you know, how they spoke or how much they spoke or how infrequently they spoke. But a magical thing has begun to happen here, in that I always have students do a final presentation. I call it the highlight reel, and they just have to make something to show everyone else for 5 minutes max that summarizes the highlights for them from the class. And this year, out of the 32 students in my classes, 9 of them did something with the transcripts, with the captions. For example, someone created a kind of found poem from lines from the transcript. Someone made a play based on, and they used everyone in class and something they'd said during the class as part of the play for the class. Another person did a magic silent video simply by rolling up on a kind of board screens, like a captioning screen, coming by things that people had said while she just played music in the background.
It was really magical.
Yeah,
it was really lovely.
And then people also did moments of self-analysis of their own talk, where they found out how many times they said and, or how many times they said like, or how many times their sentences trailed off without ending, which is something I do.
They used also the transcripts, remember, to use Wordle, to make word clouds of the words, and that was also very fun and instructive.
Yeah, so of the whole text. So caption that.
Do it.